Welcome. You have made it back to Living Limitless, Play Your Way to Freedom. I'm Andrea Luzon. We are here to join with you as you connect, play, and awaken your power, your freedom, and your expansiveness. If you don't already know her, I'm very excited to join with Asha Eden Rose today. So here is a bit more about her. She is a spirit guide, medium, and light channel for the awakening. She is a Reiki master teacher and high priestess of the sisterhood of the rose in the temple of air. Her sacred service is to be a conduit for the unification process for the planet and for our galaxies. Her mission is to guide highly sensitive people into the next phase of their awakening so they may actualize the directives of their intuitive compass and manifest their divine life purpose on the planet. You can follow and book with her at theawakeningsf.com. So, Asha, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm so glad you're here.
It's my pleasure to be here. I felt as you're speaking some beautiful spiritual tears pouring through my being, and it just feels so alive, this space that you created. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. I'm feeling such presence from you. Like you are fully dropped in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alive and ready.
It's really amazing. So I would love to hear what is inspiring you right now about your work and tell us more about it.
That's a really big question. What's inspiring this work is all of you, is really deepening connection with multifaceted beings that everybody is, and to find a way through the awakening, which is the name of my business, what was my business, which is now becoming a place where we can all connect. So what is inspiring me right now is illuminating all of these connections with each and every one of you in all of your facets of being.
Yes. So tapping us into our connection and that gets to replace the sense of separation that a lot of us drift into.
Yes. It's magnifying these parts of ourselves that may seem hidden when contextually there may be moments of what feels like isolation or separation from one another, especially in these ever-changing times. Really bringing those unique songs of creation that are inside of each and every one of us out to the surface, to be heard and witnessed, to be seen not only by ourselves, but by each and every one of us as well. And so I'm feeling really inspired to create a platform where we all can share with one another and invite those kinds of conversations within one another and between one another.
I love it. So a chat room and a place to share our insights.
Yes. So on theawakeningsf.com, I've created a virtual hub and an educational resource center where people can ask questions and come together and share resources, called the Assembly One, where we all get to meet together, whether it's, you're a practitioner or you're just in play, in curiosity, that there's a place that you can go to explore, to be held, and to find yourself. And if it's one-on-one sessions that people are really craving in devotion,
Mm.
then of course, I'm available as well.
Yeah.
Or those practitioners may make themselves available for that connection, for that level of deepening.
Yeah. Outstanding. So the assembly
Mhm.
one is going to be, or already is, part of your website where
Yes.
it's going to be the communication hub for people who are reaching out
Yes.
and people who have something to offer.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. We all have something to offer. And I was finding it challenging on the larger social entities to not get lost and confused. And so seeking to find a place where we can come together as beings who are engaged in spiritual social conversation and navigating the complexities of that, and finding ways that we can feel whole and accepted for our creativity and abundance that is stepping forward from that spiritual place.
Yeah. That
Mm-hmm.
sounds lovely. We're all going to go and join that right now.
Yay! Feel free.
Yes. So I have a question, Asha. Do
Sure.
you feel, were you aware at the time if you received messages growing up that were bringing your awareness to this field of work that you're in? Also, did you find that there were any breakdowns to break through into this awareness that you would be engaged in this work?
Ah, yes, of course, many, 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 in both facets of that question. So, if I have the question right, question number one was, did I have these experiences as a child? Yes.
Mm-hmm. Or messages, inklings. Mm-hmm.
Yes. So I'll address that one first. When I was a child, I was afraid of everything. I was afraid of using the toilet at my friend's house. I was afraid of drinking milk out of the refrigerator. I was afraid of really moving in the world, interacting with other people.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is to say that I didn't quite know it, but I've always been a highly sensitive person. So in my waking reality to this day, I'm all the clairs. So I smell beyond, see beyond, hear beyond, know, feel in my body, and have empathic, I mean, literally everything. And so as a child, especially, I grew up in more of uh, you know, a lot of healers do grow up in a space that is a cause for our evolution, which can be actually more of a traumatic space, right? And that coupled with a hypersensitivity was a lot that I didn't understand. And now I understand. Now I understand fully. So yes, I would see spirits, not knowing if that was okay, especially in the households where I feel like I grew up with gifted parents, and those have been suppressed, um, and also grew up in much more of a religiously strict environment as well. And it's to say that these things weren't necessarily bad, they just weren't illuminated, they weren't talked about, shared in the context of the household and in the experiences I was having as a child, to normalize the hypersensitivity and to allow myself to play in these worlds with a deeper understanding, because I do believe that kids are very gifted and that they have a lot that they come into the world with, that can and should be shared.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the first part.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Indeed.
Mm-hmm. Does that answer the
Yes,
question? Yes.
absolutely. Absolutely. That's outstanding. And also, I hear you. I've heard that a lot of my most awake friends, most like, reawakened friends, they who have the abilities that you have, or you've that have tapped into that awareness. They do have that story of youth where it was kind of suppressed, or the parents were just like, no, that's just an imaginary friend that you've created or something like that. um and
It's
so are you open to sharing vulnerably about any breakdowns or barriers that
mm,
came up that you were able to move through?
yeah, absolutely. I think it's very normal. I feel like I've heard my story a lot as well, which is, you know, growing up to now, which has been many, many years, I started processing these experiences first by suppressing them because these things were suppressed. So I started doing that and then realizing that, well, the curiosity and the play was still there. And when I started in 2012, really opening the floodgates to that experience, exploring different, immersing myself in many spiritual books, in many religions, and craving to find my identity, then I started engaging in my healing process. And what ended up happening I started with Reiki. I started with Reiki level 1. When I started in on that healing process, I was finding the tools to navigate, these years of pain. And through that, one major obstacle was I kept looking for and thus finding power in healing pain within myself. And, from Reiki went into shamanic practice, and shamanic practice led me to mediumship and channeling. But every step of the way, I mean, one of my major obstacles was I kept craving in the play, finding obstacles, because finding the obstacles and the pain, engaging with these deepened conversations of my shadow self, was lending to a sense of personal power. I was able to find my truth as identified with the shadow context of myself, in finding light inside of the most darkness.
Mm.
And that was a really joyful experience for me at that time. And now, of course, it has become much more integrated into my being as in the fullness of myself. So
Mhm.
interesting to think of that as an obstacle. And the reason why it could be considered an obstacle was because I realized I had a big sheath over my heart. And I was fighting to a degree. I was enlivening this warrior self. And it was very much healing myself and others with that warrior mentality of like, bring it, like, bring it. I can do anything. I'm the conqueror of the darkness, and we all can find light there. And that's a beautiful place to be in as
Mhm.
a step one on the journey. The
Yeah.
moment, though, recently I started taking really big breaths and opening my heart to the expansiveness, in really and truly connecting to vulnerability with
Mm.
other people and with the bigness of my spiritual self, I feel like that's where, that's where I am now. And that's, yeah.
And do you think that the question that's coming forward for me is, do we have to, or is it a requirement that we do our shadow work first, and then we get to hold space and really have our heart open to sitting with
Mm,
people in our authenticity?
absolutely not. I think that is more rather we're often told that in the healing process, we must address our shadow self first in the human experience. The
Yeah.
reason why it may be beneficial to explore the shadow self first is because in our human form, in our earth bodies, there is a lot of density that we hold on to. And
Mm.
so it may take, if there's an accumulation of dense energies or vibrations that have accumulated over time, it may take just as slow of a process to be able to unravel those with gentleness, with patience, and compassion for our nervous system,
Yeah.
to be able to walk through that, then thus exploring the shadow self, because that is hosting those, may be very constructive.
I'm
Does
hearing
that
you.
make sense? But is it always necessary? Absolutely not. We actually can, in any given moment, step into a full aligned yes of exactly realizing that because we are alive, because our heart is in our body, that every manifestation, every want, desire, need that we could ever dream or imagine possible in our limitless possibilities is alive because we are alive. And we can choose, and it may be hard to see that, if we're still really finding power in our shadow self and our prior experiences, but how to step into that yes, and how to
Mm.
allow ourselves permission to jump into the life that we already are, which is the dream that we are dreaming.
Wow.
So we can actually decide which of those feels most favorable for us. It's not to say that one is better than the other. It's to say that there are many choices in our divine life path, and
Mm.
one of them, it may be very worth exploring where we come from to give context to the now.
Yes.
It may also be just as important for some people to assign right now that they have the power to know that all of that is always present with where they are now, and to flip a switch into catalyzing the next phase of their awakening, which is, okay, I'm ready to do something else.
Mm-hmm.
Totally up to each individual in their process.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And different waves of shadow stuff may show up to
Oh,
ask
I love the shadow. I'm a
ask you to
Scorpio moon.
process.
It's fun, and it reminds us of our primordial selves. It reminds us of the totality, the beauty, and the journey of the human experience.
Mm.
It's like this all the pages of a story, of that's alive. We can really, really get into every single page if we desire to do that. Or we can go ahead and just write the next book in the, like, part 2 of
Right.
of the series. Yeah.
Indeed. I'm getting such a sense of wisdom from you. And also wanting to help our listener feel strong in their toolbox.
Ooh,
And so I know
yes.
a lot of individuals are, we're having this pandemic where a lot of us are in the house with the same people constantly, and maybe not. Anywho, so the concept of trigger, I would love to hear from you your definition when you hear triggering situation or I was triggered. What comes forward for you in regards to defining trigger, and how do you move through the sensation and step into your authenticity and your values and who you want to be? Um, yeah, so I'd love to hear a little bit of guidance from you.
Mm, thank you. I'm feeling first and foremost the need to perhaps redefine the vibration behind that word in and of itself. So when I hear trigger, I feel triggered. When I hear trigger, it reminds me of like a gun. It reminds me of like of this feeling of wounding and wounding oneself, vibrationally speaking, in the spelling of it. And what may be helpful is to take that word and to breathe into one that feels helpful and alive for each and every one of us. So perhaps what this could sound like is, I'm having an awareness right now. I am having an understanding right now. I'm feeling something in my body right now. There is, yes. And in doing so, we are reclaiming power for ourselves in the context of the happening, as opposed to perhaps saying, this is triggering me, pointing outside of ourselves for external validation of the experience. We can redirect it towards ourselves, but without the finger pointing of the word trigger. We can look at the themes that are meeting us by asking ourselves, how is this meeting me? And what is showing up inside of me? And thus, by doing so, we are now allowing ourselves to be in observance. It's almost like, as opposed to just being in the experience, we are now going, what all is going on here? And because we're asking ourselves, what all is going on here? Then we are thus stepping into a sense of creativity. There is perhaps more excitement, more joy, more play, more fun, more curiosity. And because now there is lightness imbued in this situation, and we are observing one step outside of just being immersed in the black hole of the experience, then we can look at it differently. We can look at it like it was a best friend. We can sit down and have a conversation with it. We can reframe it. We can put it on in a way that might feel better for us.
Yeah.
So that's very exciting. And essentially what I'm getting at is changing the vibration of the experience. And there are many ways to do that when we are feeling that something is coming up for us, whether that's putting on music that is allowing us to shift through that experience. Sometimes we do need a catalyst before we can have that observation, whether that's putting on some music in that experience, or putting on a different article of clothing, even a different color that is really feels fun for us, or doing something that is grounding, like eating foods we enjoy or getting out in nature. We can take a moment to step outside of the situation altogether to step back into observance, or we may just decide to, as I had shared before, give ourselves that noticing right away. Just noticing.
I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot to be said there.
Yes. And we could do a demonstration about that, because I know that for me,
Sure,
the way this series came forward is really get curious about what you are calling forward in your life. And so the concept of living limitless and play leading to our freedom. it's so like those are the two. I'm almost feeling like those get to be my two cornerstones that I come back to again and again in the coming year is going to be how am I in this experience and coming from limitation? And how am I in this experience and I'm rigid and I'm stuck? And what am I stuck in? And where is that coming from? So the series is really about let's bring awareness and how do we how can I teach myself this even better in what do I get to break free from so I get to live my life in a more limitless way? And then how do I bring play forward? Because both of these things are who we innately are, playful and without limitation. And then yet we find ourselves as adults coming from story and, you know, coming from the woundedness. And then that's, I think that when I think of the word trigger, it's I am reacting I'm reacting from the place that is being triggered. I'm reacting from that old story. I'm reacting from that old wound. And like that's what's coming forward. And and so thank you so much for sharing your wisdom in renaming it.
Yes.
Yeah, renaming it, observing it, noticing it.
Yes.
Yeah, maybe the moment is it's time to step outside the house, take some, you know, breathe in some fresh air
Yeah.
and allow
Do
yourself to
something a little different.
yeah, allow yourself to feel your feelings
Mhm.
because you are aware that that something's happening in your body in regards to the situation, but that the situation is not the actual is not the upset. It's the upset is like happening from your past most likely and from that stuck energy that you alluded to earlier, just lightening the load as we open ourselves to looking at it. So thank you so
Yes. Yes. It is to say that the situation does not necessarily control my identity. And
mm,
that what I'm choosing to do is to move it as opposed to having this trigger, so to speak, and then reacting directly from it. If we were to imagine a triangle,
yeah.
to just move like, this is showing up and react to it, is that we get to take one step to the right and we get to go into observance. And then from that awareness, then we
Mhm.
can move and have allow that to be the catalyst to the reaction that
Mhm.
feels more genuinely aligned with
Yeah.
the step that we wish to take in our forward trajectory.
Yes. I love that. That's so interesting because the symbol for my work is a triangle. And that's isn't that interesting? Oh wow. I love that. That's like one of my favorite mudras that I find just very calming. Just yeah, breathing into the belly and holding that up. So that's so fun. And you have triangles.
Yeah,
You have a zillion
yeah.
triangles
A
behind you.
zillion triangles everywhere. It's the I call it the fire triangle of spirit. And when I'm connecting to people from afar, I place it over my third eye and there's so much power there.
Wow.
There's so much
That
power there.
I love that we keep finding, we were communicating before setting up this interview and finding more and more alignment. So this is just really, that's really fun. That's really
Hmm.
fun.
I'd be happy to show people a very simple way to be able to observe in the body.
That any aspect of your work that you would love to demonstrate for us, I welcome that. That would
Yes,
be
and
great.
it seems most important. Before we got on the call, to
Yeah.
was going to say, "Oh, I'd be happy to channel," but I am a channel, and everything that I've been speaking has been channeled so far. I almost want to say "we" many times because I work with many guys, but I chose to reframe into "I." So I've already been channeling, but it seems most important for
Mhm.
anyone watching to know that they are in their nature, we all are
Yeah.
natural intuitives. And what's really exciting is that beyond yes, communicating with angels or angel numbers or channeling or like all these things that may be considered woo woo or out there, that we actually have something right here right now with that we can play with our intuitive self that is on earth, and that is our body. And so something that I teach as a Reiki teacher before I even attune people into the Reiki lineage. Reiki is a Japanese, healing practice for self-healing and for healing others for stress reduction and relaxation. It's before I even attune people into that lineage, so to speak, we're playing on the body first. So happy to show a little bit about that.
I'm happy to be a guinea pig or to experience this with you.
Yes.
Sounds
Yes,
good.
exactly. And I was taking a look at your website. It seems like you may already actually channel this light energy. So this may be very easy for you. But anyone who's watching, just make sure that you're in a comfortable seated position. The more relaxed our physical form is, the more that we can assimilate, the more we can take on these gorgeous light forms into our body. And when you're feeling relaxed, you just take a couple of breaths in and out, any way that you need or feel called. You're slowing down the nervous system and releasing any tensions from the day or expectations to what this might be down through your body into the earth as an offering. Good. And now we get to play with our intuition. So as you feel called, breathing in and up, allow your hands to meet in the center of your being. So palms are together, fingers are together right in front of the heart. And this unites both sides of your being, masculine and feminine, in the DNA helix in the center line of your being. And you may decide right now to connect above your head, your crown, as it's called, to some source, whether you connect to the energy that's alive inside of plants, stars, moonlight, sunlight, that you can just for a moment, on your next inhale, breathe that into the top of your head. Just imagine, just play. And as you exhale, that's coming into your hands, releasing the tension in your hands. In through the head. And as you exhale, there's nothing you need to do here, just allowing your palms to become alive with this energy as if you're holding it in the center of your palms. Good. And if you feel called, you may decide to start a little fire of spirit in between your palms. You can rub them together. And slowly allow your palms to separate of their own accord, as if you're holding a little ball of light there. No forcing anything, maybe a little smile comes in the corners of your mouth and you are so relaxed, your shoulders are dropped down. And here, perhaps you gently flutter your eyelids open like butterfly wings and you see your palms, see how far apart that they actually are. And we naturally emanate biomagnetic fields from our palms, from our feet. There are chakras or energy centers here. But this is the light that is all wise, universal life force energy, source energy that you can bring in any given moment and give to yourself as an offering. Anytime you feel stuck, anytime you feel low, anytime you feel tense, anytime you feel hurt, sad, any feeling that you might want to name here. And so right now, just take a couple breaths, still connecting to this energy. Wow, this is you. Wow, this is for me. It's for all of us. And I want you to just ask your body with your intuition where it might need a little love, little comfort, little understanding, compassion right now. And take your palms. Don't overthink it. Place them on the body, in that place. Go ahead and touch your body wherever might need a little extra tender love. Allow your eyes to remain closed. Keep breathing in through the top of your head, that source energy. Whatever you connected to Remember that smile, that lightness, have fun. Breathe that in deeply, and as you exhale, apply that into that area with your palms, wherever you are. Take a couple breaths here. And the key here is to not judge this experience. Allow your body to talk, allow your hands to receive, and to also give energy, vital energy to this place. Just remember to breathe deeply. You might notice in your hands extra warm sensations, cool sensations, tingling. Maybe it just feels like or it feels whoa. All of it is welcome here. All parts of you are welcome here. And this, beloved, is the way that you are able to merge your highest self, your connection to divinity, all that you are in the beyond, to meet your earth body and to touch down, to awaken all that you are as an integrated, beautiful, and alive, sentient one. Take a nice big breath in, releasing the palms, maybe on the tops of your thighs, palms face down, and offer yourself a moment of gratitude for what you just experienced. That little blip in time that you gifted yourself. Breathing in, hands back into prayer in front of the heart if it calls to you, or just stay here. And exhale. Allow your eyes to gently fold open and feel back into being in the room where you are and into your physical form. How yummy was that?
That was lovely.
And that's maybe 5 minutes. Imagine what could happen if, and we do this in our Reiki practice, if 15 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour of devotion, just laying hands on your body anywhere that might be needing and calling out to us to receive.
That was really lovely. And I love how you're teaching people that they get to do their own self-care and their own bringing in the light.
Yes, I find very often, most times when we have pain in our body, it is a way for our body to say, excuse me, please hear me, touch me, listen. And there's so many messages that can arise from that place of observance, as we talked about.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Thank you. That was very yummy. I feel so dropped in that I'm like, I think I yawned 3 times. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Really needed the air, I guess.
Thank you for allowing me to share that offering with everybody. It's so gentle, so nice. And there's more of that teaching in the Reiki way, but anybody has access to that connection, that connectivity to source. We're so connected to everything on this earth and beyond, that life force.
I'm feeling it. I feel very dropped in. I would love to ask you, how do you bring play into your life to step more profoundly into your freedom, your power, to feel expansiveness?
Yeah. It's funny. It's a very simple question, and yet can also be conceived as a very complex question. So it's for me, I often get wrapped up in the things I have to do.
Mm.
And I get really wrapped up in my headspace. And what play tends to look like for me is shaking it out, is making funny noises, really just allowing my body to express in the way that it wants without rigidity, without thinking it has to look a certain way, be a certain way, feel a certain way, and placing that expectation, that weight, that pressure on myself to perform a certain way. So really getting present in the now moment. Again, like the to-do list it seems almost to be a future projection, something that has to occur in order for me to feel better or something. But if just in this moment right now, we just move the body, make funny noises, and get into creativity. That's a big one for me. Smile and to get into creativity. So moving just for 5 minutes outside of any structure, and breathing into that wild, ecstatic experience, even for a few breaths, can shift everything and make sure that that to-do list is done in alignment with what feels really, 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 really juicy. Really gold, for me.
Indeed. Yes, that's vibing. So keeping the play even as we are being rigorous about our dreams, creating our dreams.
Yeah. Like I said, even just for a few breaths, even right now, if anybody's watching, I mean, no need to just watch us, like, just and then, okay, now I'm back. And even just doing that, I feel so much more clear. I feel like there's nothing that I can't do. Easy as that.
Dropping in. And I love the without structure and without rigidity, without expectation. Just wiggle, move, let your body be free.
Just for a moment.
And would you say that that is one of your practices? I would love guidance on any daily practices for our viewer, for myself, for any practices that help you stay in a more awakened state, in a higher vibration state.
Yeah. A big one for me personally is toning or sound resonance. So when I'm feeling really stuck, I actually like to make sound. Anything that feels just sound. And because it's easy for me to find the places where I might be stuck in my body and to move through that. By allowing myself to make sound. And there's a lot of medicine in that, because it may not sound perfect. It may not, I might, be judging my experience, whatever, but that could be a part of the stuckness. And so just allowing myself to breathe and make sound is the most helpful way. And I can demonstrate. So any sound, right?
Okay.
Oh, great. Right? Because I can feel in my heart there's some energy, and allowing that energy to sound like great. But I had to move through that that was in my heart in order to get to the allowing any sound to come out of my body that needs to be heard. And so you can move through really low frequencies, as low as you can go, and play, and then go as high as you can go. And if that doesn't work, then great, because then, we could be like, oh, I'm feeling really stuck there. How can I go ahead and make that sound in the way that I'm wanting it to come out, the way that I'm intuitively sensing? So maybe I need to get out of my head, right? Because these are the places where I might have the blocks. but it's just an act of playing. And the more low you can get the frequencies, the more grounded your energies go into the earth. The more high you get your frequencies, the more you can tap to the wisdom that is all accessible in that source energy that you had just found.
Yes, I love that. So your number one way is toning or sound resonance.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right? And I love how you explained it. That really unlocks. I know some of the more beautiful experiences I've had in dropping back into my body, dropping back into my authenticity, you know, from being like very logical and in the mind, have involved movement and different tones or different mouth shapes while pushing air and sound out. So
Yes,
thank
yes.
you. I love that there's agreement out there in the world that, yeah, really movement and allowing sounds to come out really,
Yeah.
yeah, really unlocks something and lets us be free.
It's just about playing with it too. I'm not like a professional musical artist or anything, but it's allowing myself to do it, to try. And a child doesn't say, "Oh, I have to do things a certain way." They just jump. They just try it on for size, and that allows us to break out of these molds that we've put on ourselves to be a certain way, and just engage with creating once again.
Mm. Asha, I would love for our audience members to get to experience your work on a even more personal level than we have. I'd love for them to be able to reach out to you, to access
Oh,
you,
sure.
to experience your work. And I understand that you have a
Mm.
perk or a gift for our viewer. Will you share where we can get that and what it is?
Yes. And I was just sharing a big hug with each and every one of you, because it just feels so, so good to be able to offer a connective call with someone. And it's not just like, it's not about me, it's about us, it's about our dance, and it's about what we are here to create with one another, whatever that looks like. And that's most exciting. So I'd love to have the opportunity to meet each and every one of you, even more so than we already have today, as I was meeting all of your vibrations, if you're watching this right now, in a connective call over tea. So I host virtual tea times on Zoom, and we can have 15 or 20 minutes on a video chat together, just for us to learn about one another and how we can serve and how we can connect in a deepened way. After which I would be pleased to offer, if any of you wanted, an additional 15 minutes of direct channeled guidance, some spiritual guidance on how you may further awaken and actualize your divine life path on the planet.
I'm so excited for anyone who's ready to experience that. For all
Yeah,
of
little
us
virtual tea time.
yeah, all of us to get to experience that. It's such a gift, and that link will be right below this video. And so I know I hear your little one has come back
Yes.
from the adventure that from the experience they were having. And so I feel, Asha, someone is watching and their life gets to shift. Ooh, there's my beautiful Kongzi bell. This person's life gets to shift exponentially by them working with you, by them experiencing your work and getting to work with you. What would you like to say to that person?
We are together as one. This journey is not about me or you. It's about each and every one of us stepping more fully into who we truly are, remembering that we are infinite and that we are connected, and that there's absolutely everything is possible from that place. So we are in a dance, and I look forward to dancing with you.
Thank you, Asha, for your generosity, for your time, for your
Mm.
wild open heart and all the I know, and all the sharing, all the beauty. It's just really been so lovely, and I love our synchronicities. I'm looking forward
Mhm.
to following you and being a part of the awakeningsf.com, the community that you're creating for all of us who are seeking more connection and wanting to continue to open, and allow that stuckness to flow out of us, and that energy gets to go out and serve. Once we let go, I feel as though once we let go of that stuckness, that story that we created, I feel like it
Yeah.
gets to transmute and go out and help shift the world.
Yeah, we are all so connected. Even during these crazy times, may we always remember. May we always remember.
Mm.
Thank you for your love. Andrea, thank you for bringing us all together in this beautiful space. Thank you for you.
Thank you. I received
Mhm.
that. Thank you. And I'm having so much fun doing it. That is really the biggest joy, unexpected joy, honestly, in stepping into visibility and stepping into curiosity and creativity is like, oh my gosh, this is lighting me up so much. And
Yeah.
the exchange of the energy, the dance that we get to do, me and each individual speaker, presenter, expert, it's just been so much fun, and I can't wait to do.
Yes.
I'm gonna wait a couple months and then just do this again. It's so
You are
much fun.
so inspiring to so many, including myself. Look forward to engaging more with you on
Thank
this
you.
experience too. It's a big one.
Thank you. And thank you to our listener. This has been Living Limitless, Play Your Way to Freedom with Andrea Luzon. I'm so excited to have you join us next time.